Okay, so I think we can get started. Uh, Today we'll just be talking about officer roles and kind of how those are. We're going to talk about like officer roles and what they entail and what your responsibilities will be as an officer. Um, so first off, we can cover what being the president of debate entails. And so this year, we ran things a little bit differently in regards to how we divided the work. In past years, it was pretty clear cut. Like the president does these activities, the secretary of tournaments does these activities, the novice captain does these activities, etc. And so this year we kind of ran things as a communal council almost, where it was everyone had their positions and their title, but we all shared in the same work. So we all made presentations. We all helped in regards to like making spreadsheets or signing up for tournaments or figuring out or like writing emails, for instance. So um, just know that I think that the way that we did it this year, kind of having everyone partake in all aspects of the work, is probably the better way to do it, because then if someone is lacking in a certain area, the other people can come and help, instead of just letting that one division of the officers kind of fall through the cracks. So um, although we'll be talking about like uh, what your roles and responsibilities are, they will also kind of be shared throughout the officer team. So as president this year, you know, I did a lot of things in regards to writing emails, making spreadsheets, presentations, um, signing up for tournaments, organizing speakers, etc. So when you're president of debate, uh, you kind of have to oversee all sides of what's going on. So both on varsity and in novice, and you kind of have to make sure that not only is everything running smoothly, but the um, debate is kind of like it in a linear fashion, where you're first novice and then a varsity. So you have to make sure that the novice and varsity uh, curriculums and stuff are lining up in a proper way, because if they aren't, then that disconnect can um, be difficult to make up for in the future. So to be president is a pretty important role, because you have to make sure that uh, everything in the um, kind of like timeline is working the way it should be. And also, you have your own responsibilities, but you have to help the other officers when they desire and when you can, because that's just the burden of the presidential role. So now, Ryan, do you want to talk about being varsity captain?
Yeah, so this year, like Mon said, a lot of the responsibilities of our team were shared. So normally, the varsity captain in person would be the one that's really focused on lecturing. However, this year, since everything was mostly online, the lecturing happened by our entire officer team. And normally, there's also a novice captain. But this year, the varsity and novice captain kind of shared the roles in that they both taught the teams. So next year, I assume, once we're in person, that role will once again be split into two, being both novice and varsity. So Avani is our novice team captain. But like Mohan said, anytime you're an officer in the team, you're kind of responsible for everything in the club. So if someone can't make it, someone can't attend the club that day, you just have to cover for them. Like I said, this year, lecturing mostly happens by the entire team, but normally the varsity captain will focus on things that the varsity team would normally be preparing, such as briefs or just theory, counter theory, critiques, those type of things. But like I said, this year, since we also didn't really attend that many tournaments, most of our lecturing were just general topics, general like current world topics. Yeah. So, Bonnie, is there anything else you'd like to add?
Yeah, that's basically it. But for me, I was novice captain this year. And for people who are interested in applying for this position, you have to realize that you won't really be able to attend like the varsity meetings and learn about critiques and theories, because your main job is to be teaching like the basic fundamentals of Parley to the new novice members. So you're gonna miss out on a lot of like new things, and you have to be okay with that, to just like be able to teach in front of like a new group of people, and also present like lectures along with the whole team. And yeah, I was also helping out with like sending emails almost every week, and then creating like tournament Google forms, like the sign up sheets. I helped with that. So everyone had like a job, and we all like just collaborated really well. So yeah, just making sure that if you want to be novice, you have to be able to teach other kids, not kids, but like novice members. And yeah.
Oh yeah, something else to notice is that once you're in like a position on the officer team, like your priority goes from like performing well at tournaments, competing, to more of like a position where you want to help other people. If there's any questions, it's more focused on like success.
Yeah. Kayla's not here, but she was Secretary of Outreach, so she mostly did like the Instagram posts and the infographics that you saw like on social media, and yeah, basically like reaching out to people and just organizing tournaments with like the list of people, and then what else? Yeah, finding information about tournament info from Tab Room. So yeah, that's basically what she did. And then I think, yeah, Andrew, you can talk about Secretary of Tournaments.
Yeah, so as the Secretary of Tournaments, your job should be to send out emails for the tournaments and also help with registration for the tournaments. Obviously, next year, school's most likely going to be in person the entire year. So there will be a lot more tournaments to go to. So your job, you'll have a lot more things to do as a Secretary of Tournaments, even though this year we didn't like get the chance to go to too many tournaments. And you would also want to help out at the tournaments with like getting new members situated. Obviously, the captains should help with like what they should do before a debate round starts. But Secretary of Tournaments, you should also be there just helping people get to the rooms they need to go to.
Yeah, and another important thing about being president and being like Secretary of Tournaments is like both roles, both president and Secretary of Tournaments, coordinate with parents, which is really important because we, online and in person, both like very much depend on parent judges being there to support our tournament endeavors, because it is kind of costly to always be um, hiring judges, or being unable to attend tournaments because we can't provide judges. So being in either of those roles is really important for contacting parents and making sure that there's a streamlined communication process, because if there isn't, then issues can ensue. Josh, can you talk about being like Secretary of Logistics and stuff like that?
Again, because like this year's been like pretty hectic, we don't have like specific roles, but like being a Secretary of Logistics is mainly just handling the backside of things. Like I mean, this year my responsibilities have been pretty far and wide. I think like I haven't really acted as like a Secretary of Logistics this year, but like honestly, it's just sort of helping out, doing what you can, and then helping with this stuff. Sorry, give me a second. It's mainly just being like a secretary, like a general secretary of what like you think a secretary is, just taking attendance, taking notes and stuff, and then like creating like the tab room databases and stuff, helping with the secretary tournaments or that stuff, and then just helping Mr. Kistler like submitting like financial forms and stuff like that for payments for tournaments, and then in general just being a logistical person. So yeah, sorry.
Yeah, but as I said earlier, I think the way that we've run that we've done officer roles this year is probably better than in past years, where uh, it was more divided. This year we've tried to split up the work evenly. So, you know, Josh would lecture in the varsity room. Avani would help out with lectures for the varsity room, and we would help out with novice lecture or like creating novice lectures. So although there are titles, the job roles are not so divisive as they may seem, because like I for instance did a lot of work signing people up for tournaments this year, which is not, or in past years is not typically what the president of debate would do, but it's just kind of the way that we ran it this year. And I think it's better overall because the responsibility is shared, and that's kind of how that is how I believe that the club should be run. Um, so, does anyone in here have questions about officer roles, responsibilities, positions, etc.? Also, the commitment for this is about like 4 to 5 hours a week. And so I would say plan for about 2 to 3 hours of those to be like within the school week, so Monday through Friday, and the other 2 hours being on the weekends, prepping slides and signing people up for tournaments or other debate responsibilities.
I think your voice cut out, but basically, I think Mohan was saying that um, allocate like at least 2 to 3 hours on the weekend for creating lectures and tournament forums and just finding information on tournaments and making sure everything's like intact. And you also have to make sure about, does every person have like a debate partner and things like that, and also contacting parents on the weekends is also really important. And then for the weekdays, have like 2 to 3 hours to, actually no, like 1 to 2 hours, because you have to have the meetings which take up an hour, and then you also have to like prep for it, so it takes a few hours for that too. So yeah.
Yeah. Um, Again, are there any questions?
Okay, I'm just gonna put the Google form in the chat, so yeah.
Yeah, so this Google form will be due on Sunday. Please fill that out as it is shown, and that'll help us figure this out, or figure out who's interested in what positions. And the way this will work is you fill out the Google form, and then we will interview you about the role, which is your preference, and then we'll have to make a decision on who's going to be in those roles next year.
Yeah, and it'll be due on Sunday, 3 p.m. So take your time, don't rush, because we want to like hear your opinions and like, yeah, your essays and stuff. So
Just a really good question that came in was, what response lengths are we looking for? And I think really it depends on just, I mean, how much you want to answer the question. Like I am more interested in quality responses over a long response. So if you have like a really great sentence, that's great. And if you have like a really not great paragraph, then what's the point of submitting a paragraph? So response length is not necessarily the highest concern, but response quality is more of what we want to see. So don't necessarily worry too much about how long or short your response might be. Any other questions? If not, then I think we can end. We did record this meeting, so we'll send it out if you'd like to review. Make sure that the form gets filled in by this Sunday. And if you can't fill it in by this Sunday, just let us know and we can accommodate that. So, yeah, thank you for attending. And thank you for showing interest in being officers next year.
Thank you.